The plan was simple. Slip the Valentine into locker 108. Wait for my crush Mark to find it. And finally stop being just friends. I even put a secret Polaroid of us inside. I checked the number twice, or so I thought. I slid the envelope through the slats and felt a huge weight lift off my shoulders. But 2 minutes later, I saw Mark walking down the hall toward locker 180. My heart stopped. If Mark is 180, then who is 108? I looked at the nameplate on the locker I just used. It didn't say Mark. It said Dave. Dave is the biggest bully in school. He lives for drama. And he hates me. If he finds that letter, he's not just going to reject me. He's going to read it over the school PA system. He's going to show everyone that Polaroid. My entire social life will be over before lunch. I tried to fish it out with a ruler, but it's too deep. Then I heard the heavy thud of combat boots. Dave was walking down the hall with his friends, laughing and heading straight for his locker. He was 5 steps away. 3. I ducked into the girls' bathroom. Just as I heard his locker click open, my phone buzzed instantly. It was a notification from the school's anonymous confession page. The caption read, "Someone left a little gift for Dave. Stay tuned for the big reveal at the pep rally. He has it, and he's going to use it to destroy me. Comment Valentine if you want to see part 2. I watched from behind the corner as Dave held my pink envelope like a trophy. He didn't open it immediately. He just smirked and tucked it into the pocket of his varsity jacket. Looks like I've got some lunchtime entertainment, he told his friends. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought it would burst through my hoodie. I had 40 minutes until the lunch bell. 40 minutes to get that jacket. I followed them at a distance to the gym. Dave and his crew were heading to the locker room to change for practice. This was my only chance. If I could get into the boys' locker room while they were on the court, I could switch the letter for a fake one. I waited until the sounds of basketballs hitting the floor echoed through the vents. I slipped into the locker room. It smelled like old sneakers and Axe body spray. I found Dave's locker, number 108, but it was locked. I started panicking, trying every birthday and zip code I could think of. Then I saw it. His jacket was hanging on a hook outside the locker. My hands were shaking as I reached for the pocket. I felt the paper. I pulled it out, but it wasn't my letter. It was a different note, written in messy handwriting. Meet me behind the bleachers at 1 o'clock. I know what you're hiding, Dave. Suddenly, I realized I wasn't the only one with a secret. Lose something, Mia? A voice boomed from the doorway. I spun around. It was Dave. He wasn't on the court. He was leaning against the door frame, holding my pink envelope between 2 fingers, waving it like a fan. He'd baited me. He took a step closer and started to tear the seal. Let's see what Mark's little sister has to say. Shall we? Comment stop if you want to see part 3. Dave was standing inches away, the pink envelope in his hand. I was trapped in the boys' locker room. And for the first time, I didn't see the heartthrob bully. I saw someone who looked exhausted. He didn't open the letter. Instead, he held up the other note I found in his jacket. You saw this, didn't you? Dave asked, his voice losing that mean edge. I nodded, paralyzed. The note said someone knew his secret. If you tell anyone what was in that locker, Mia, I'll make sure everyone in this school sees your little Polaroid with Mark. Deal. I should have said yes. I should have run. But I looked at the secret note again. The handwriting. It was identical to the one on the Valentine. I'd given Mark last year. Dave, I whispered, I didn't write that blackmail note. But I know who did. And if you read my letter, you'll see why I'm the only one who can help you. Dave finally ripped the seal of my envelope. He read the letter, his eyes scanning the part where I confessed to the fire alarm incident. He looked at the Polaroid of me and Mark. Then he did something I never expected. He laughed. A real, genuine laugh. Mark doesn't deserve this letter, Mia. And he definitely doesn't deserve you. Suddenly, the locker room door swung open. It was Mark. He looked from me to Dave, to the pink envelope on the floor. Mia, what are you doing in here with him? Mark's face wasn't full of concern. It was full of anger. He looked at Dave and said, Did she give it to you? Is the plan working? The plan? My heart shattered. Mark and Dave were working together? Comment betrayal for part 4. The speakers across the entire school crackled to life. I didn't just tell everyone the truth. I played the recording of Mark admitting he was framing me. The silence in the hallway was deafening, until a roar of ooze erupted from the cafeteria. Mark's reputation didn't just drop. It evaporated. I walked out of the PA room, my hands still shaking from the adrenaline. Mark was being escorted to the office by the gym teacher, looking humiliated. He tried to glare at me, but someone stepped in his way. It was Dave. He didn't say a word, just stared Mark down until Mark looked at the floor and kept walking. The hallway cleared, leaving just me and the guy I used to be terrified of. Dave held out my pink envelope, the one with the Polaroid of me and Mark. You probably want to burn this, he said, his voice unusually quiet. I took it, ready to rip it up. But then I noticed he had crossed out Mark's name on the front. Underneath the ink, Dave had written his own name. I looked up confused. Dave rubbed the back of his neck, looking everywhere but at me. Look, Mia, I didn't help you just to get back at Mark. I've hated that guy for years because of how he treated people, but mostly because of how he ignored you. My heart skipped a beat. What are you saying, Dave? He finally looked me in the eyes, and for the first time, the bully mask was completely gone. I'm saying I've had a letter for you in locker 108 since freshman year. I was just too much of a coward to give it to you. Happy Valentine's Day, Mia. He started to walk away, but I grabbed his sleeve. I didn't need the letter from Mark anymore. I had something better. The end. That's it. Please subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to release more stories this week for Valentine's.
My ex, Henry, is the king of ego. After he dumped me for he actually told people I was too mid to find a date to the Valentine's formal. He even bet his friends $50 that I'd show up alone. I wasn't going to let him win that bet. I called the one person I knew would never judge me. My best friend, James. James is usually buried in a comic book and wearing a thrifted sweater, but I told him I needed a favor. Just one night of acting like you're obsessed with me, and I'll buy you that limited edition collector's set. When James showed up at my door, my brain actually he had ditched the glasses and was wearing a tailored black tuxedo. He looked like he belonged on a red carpet, not in my messy living room. He held out a corsage and said, "Ready to break some hearts, Olivia?" Walking into that ballroom felt like a movie. Henry's jaw literally hit the floor, and Sophia's perfect night was ruined the second we stole the spotlight. James was a pro. He kept his hand on the small of my back and whispered inside jokes that made me laugh for real. The DJ started playing a slow song, and James pulled me into the center of the floor. My heart was racing. "You're a really good actor, James," I breathed. He pulled me closer, his eyes darkening. "Olivia, I stopped acting the second I saw you in that dress." The room went silent as Sophia stepped onto the stage and grabbed the DJ's mic. Comment betrayed for part 2. The music cut out with a screech, and Sophia's voice boomed through the speakers. "Attention, everyone. Before we crown the king and queen, I think you should know that Olivia and her mystery date are a total scam." She pointed the mic at us, a cruel smirk on her face. Henry, my ex, was laughing in the front row. Sophia held up a crumpled piece of paper. The joke contract I'd written, promising James a comic book set if he helped me. "Everyone thinks James is some hot new transfer," Sophia sneered. "But he's just her nerd best friend. Olivia literally hired him to come tonight because she's too pathetic to find a real date." The room went silent. I felt my face burning as everyone started whispering. I waited for James to run away in embarrassment, but instead, he stepped forward and calmly took the microphone, right out of Sophia's hand. "You're right, Sophia," James said, his voice steady. "I did sign that contract, but I only agreed to it so I could finally get Olivia to look at me. For more than 5 seconds without talking about Henry, he turned to me, his eyes full of something real. The contract was for one night, Olivia, but I'm tearing it up because I'm not acting anymore." He leaned in and the room gasped. Comment reel for the part 3. The entire gym was silent. James had just admitted he wasn't acting anymore, and Sophia looked like she had just swallowed a lemon. She tried to grab the mic back, but James held it just out of her reach. "And one more thing, Henry," James said, looking my ex dead in the eye. "You lost that $50 bet the second you let a girl like Olivia go. But thanks for the money. I'm using it to take her on a real date tomorrow." The crowd erupted. People were cheering, and Sophia was stomping off the stage in her designer heels. I stood there, my heart hammering against my ribs. James turned to me, the cool, confident guy from a minute ago, suddenly looking a little nervous. "So," he whispered, "was that okay? Or am I still just the nerd from 3rd grade?" I didn't answer with words. I reached up, grabbed his tie, and pulled him down for a kiss in his right cheeks. Right there in the middle of the dance floor. The flashbulbs from a dozen phones went off at once. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It wasn't about Henry or Sophia. It was just us. It's not done yet. Wait for part 4. It was perfect. But the fairy tale lasted exactly 5 seconds. Just as James pulled away, a massive image flashed onto the giant projector screen behind the DJ booth. It was a screenshot of a group chat titled Operation Fake Date. The whole gym went, "Oh," as they read my own texts to James from 2 days ago. "I just need you to look hot so Henry feels like trash. I'll pay you whatever you want." Sophia was standing by the projector, holding her phone like a weapon. "A real date, James?" Henry shouted, stepping forward with a smug grin. "She didn't choose you because she likes you. She chose you because you were the easiest tool to use for her revenge. You're just a prop to her." I looked at James, my heart sinking. The confidence in his eyes vanished, replaced by that old, familiar hurt from middle school. He looked at the screen, then back at me. "Is that all I am, Olivia? A way to get back at your ex?" I tried to speak to tell him that those texts were from before I realized the truth. But Henry stepped between us. Face it, James, you're the nerd. And she's the girl who uses people. Go back to your comic books. James didn't say a word. He just handed me the rose he'd been holding all night, turned around, and walked out of the gym into the rain. Comment, stay for the finale. I stood in the middle of the gym, holding the rose James gave me, while Henry and Sophia laughed in my face. Don't cry, Olivia, Sophia sneered. At least you still have your pride, right? I looked at the group chat on the screen. Then, at Henry, you're wrong, I said, my voice finally steady. James isn't a prop. He's the only real thing in this entire room. And the only tool here, Henry, is you. I didn't wait for a reaction. I turned and sprinted out of the gym, my heels clicking on the pavement until I kicked them off. The rain was pouring, soaking my dress, but I didn't care. I saw James at the edge of the parking lot, his head down, walking toward his car. James, wait, I screamed. He stopped but didn't turn around. I ran up to him, shivering. Those texts were from the girl I used to be, the one who cared what Henry thought. But the girl standing here right now, she doesn't care about the bet. She only cares about you. James finally looked at me, the rain dripping off his hair. He didn't say anything. He just pulled me into a hug that felt like coming home. Contract's officially over, Olivia, he whispered. Be my girlfriend. The end. Thank you for watching the full saga.
Valentine's Day is a scam, and I was determined to prove it. I stood on a cafeteria table with a Cupid is stupid sign, leading the anti-Valentine club. If I could just get through today, without seeing one more cheesy heart, I'd be happy. But then, Ethan, the student council president and the school's biggest golden boy, stepped up to me. You're ruining the vibe, Maya, he said with that annoying, perfect smirk. I bet you $50 I can make you a believer by the time the final bell rings. I laughed in his face. You have 8 hours to make me fall in love. You're going to lose your money, Ethan. He just adjusted his tie and checked his watch. Challenge accepted. Meet me at your locker at 10 a.m. Dress for a cliché at 10 o'clock sharp. He didn't bring flowers. He brought a giant boombox and played the cringiest 80s love song right in the middle of the hallway. Everyone was staring. I wanted to disappear. But as he started doing a terrible main character dance, I actually found myself laughing. 1 hour down, 7 to go, he whispered, leaning close enough that I could smell his cologne. Ready for phase 2. Just then, I saw my rival, Sophia, filming us from the corner, and she looked furious. Comment bet for part 2. The 80s boombox was a joke, but by hour 3, Ethan went full Gen Z. I was sitting in the back of the library when my phone started blowing up. I checked my feed and my jaw dropped. Ethan had posted a edit of us on the school's main page. It was a high-quality montage of me looking grumpy set to a viral trending song, captioned, Day 1 of winning over the anti-Cupid queen. It already had 5,000 likes. I looked up, and there he was, leaning against a bookshelf, filming a Get Ready With Me style video. Hour 3, Maya, he smirked, holding out a venti iced coffee with a custom sticker that said, property of the beat. The internet already thinks we're endgame. He leaned in and whispered, I just bought a billboard ad on the digital lockers. Every 5 minutes. It shows a photo of us from middle school. Your move, hater. I felt my face heating up. It wasn't just cringe anymore. It was actually kind of effort, but the vibe died instantly. Sophia walked by and accidentally spilled her drink right over my laptop. Oops, she giggled, holding her phone. Guess the bet's over if you have to go home to fix this, right? Ethan's smile vanished. He didn't look like a golden boy anymore. He looked ready for war. He grabbed my laptop and looked at Sophia. Hour 4 is about to be real messy. Comment savage for part 3. Sophia thought she won by frying my laptop, but she forgot one thing. Ethan isn't just the student council president. He's a literal tech genius. He didn't even flinch. He just pulled a high-speed SSD out of his bag and said, Maya, give me 10 minutes. While he worked on my laptop, the school's digital monitors suddenly flickered. Every single TV in the hallway stopped showing the lunch menu and started playing a leaked video. It was Sophie, caught on the security cam, intentionally pouring her drink on my desk. The hallway went silent as everyone watched. Sophia's mean girl mask slip in 4,000 resolution. Sophia's face went pale as her follower count started dropping in. She tried to run, but Ethan stepped out of the library, handed me my perfectly fixed laptop, and winked. Hour 5, justice is served. We walked to the roof for phase 6. Ethan had set up a literal Lofty Beats sunset vibe with beanbags and a projector.
The bet was to make you fall in love, he said, sitting down next to me. But I realized I was trying too hard to impress the school, and not hard enough to impress you. He turned off his phone and tossed it aside. No more bets. Just us. My heart was pounding so loud I was sure he could hear it. But just as I was about to say something, my phone buzzed with an anonymous text. Ask him about the hidden folder on his laptop. Comment secret for part 4. The anonymous text about the hidden folder felt like a punch to the gut. I looked at Ethan, then grabbed his laptop. I found the folder. It wasn't full of bets or pranks, it was full of photos and notes about me from the last 3 years. You've liked me since freshman year, I whispered. Ethan rubbed the back of his neck, looking genuinely embarrassed. The bet was just an excuse. Maya, I knew you'd never talk to the student council president, so I had to give you a reason to hate watch me for 8 hours. Just then, the final bell rang. Hour 8. The bet was officially over. Sophia burst onto the roof, still fuming from being exposed. Check the time, losers. The bet is done, and Maya didn't say she loved you. Now, give her the $50 so we can all go home. Ethan pulled a $50 bill out of his pocket and handed it to me without a word. He started packing up his stuff, looking defeated. You won, Maya. You're still the president of the anti-Cupid club. He turned to leave, but I reached out and grabbed his hoodie. Keep the money, Ethan, I said, pulling him back toward me. I took my Cupid is stupid badge off my jacket and dropped it off the side of the roof. I think the club just lost its president. I leaned in and hugged him. And for the first time all day, there were no cameras, just us. The Anti-Cupid Club is officially closed. The end. Thanks for watching Maya and Ethan's story. Comment endgame if you loved this series.
I should have never bet against my brother. Because I lost, I have to go the entire Valentine's Day without saying a single word. No talking, no whispering, not even a hey. I walked into school with a stack of pink sticky notes and a Sharpie. My first victim, Miles. The guy I've had a crush on since the 3rd grade. He waved at me by the lockers, and I just stared. Jane, you okay? He asked, looking confused. I quickly scribbled on a note and slapped it onto my forehead. It said, I am a mime today. Do not judge me. I expected him to laugh and walk away. Instead, Miles grinned. Oh, a silent movie? I can work with that. For the rest of the morning, he became my translator. When the teacher called on me, Miles stood up and said, she says the answer is 42, and also that she's very talented at being quiet. Everyone was staring, and my face was as red as my pink hoodie. But then, I saw Anne looking at us with pure evil in her eyes. She leaned over and whispered to me, if you can't speak, you can't defend yourself when I tell him your biggest secret, right? Comment, mute for part 2. I was having the best day ever with Miles, even without saying a word. But then Anne showed up with that evil smirk. She held up her phone, and my heart dropped. On the screen was a photo of my private diary. Hey Miles, Anne said, her voice dripping with fake kindness. Since Jane is being so quiet, I thought I'd help her out. Did you know she has a whole list of reasons why Miles is perfect hidden under her bed? The hallway went silent. I wanted to scream, to tell her she was a snake for stealing my diary, but I couldn't. The bet was almost over, and if I spoke now, I'd lose everything. Anne started reading from the screen. Reason number 1. His smile makes me forget how to. Suddenly, Miles reached out and grabbed the phone. He didn't even look at the screen. He just turned it off and handed it back to her. I don't need to read her diary to know how she feels, Anne, Miles said, looking straight at me. He stepped closer and whispered, because I have a list about her, too. The school clock struck 3 p.m. The bet was over. I finally took a deep breath and whispered, you do? Miles just smiled and handed me a real Valentine's card. Comment diary for part 3. After Miles saved me from Anne's drama, I was finally able to talk again. But now, it was almost scarier than being silent. Miles had handed me a Valentine's card that day, and it said, meet me at the Sweetheart Cafe after school. My heart was doing backflips as I walked into the cafe. Miles was already there, holding 2 steaming mugs. Hey, Jane, he said, his smile making me forget all my words again. Glad you could finally talk me through this date. We talked for hours. About school, about my dumb bet. Even about he just laughed when I described how mad I was, making me feel so much better. Then he said, you know, seeing you try to communicate without words today, it made me realize how much I pay attention to you. I blushed. Really? I whispered. He nodded. Yeah, it was like I finally saw you, Jane. And I kinda liked what I saw. He then slid a small, beautifully wrapped box across the table. Happy late Valentine's Day. Inside was a small silver necklace with a tiny, delicate microphone charm, so you'll never be silent again. He winked. I was so touched. I almost cried. Miles, it's perfect. This was it. My chance? Miles, I began, looking into his eyes. I really like you. He just smiled. A genuine, warm smile. I like you too, Jane. More than you know. It's not done yet. Comment revenge for part 4, if Anne deserve it. A week later, Miles and I were officially a couple. It felt like a dream. We were walking home from school, laughing about something silly, when Anne suddenly appeared. Again. So, you two are actually together now. She scoffed, glaring at me. He's only with you because he felt sorry for you. After your little mime act, Miles immediately put his arm around my shoulder. That's enough, Anne. I had to stand up for myself. You know, Anne, I said, my voice steady. Being silent actually helped me. It showed me who my true friends were, and who just wanted to cause drama. Anne looked genuinely shocked. I continued, and Miles, he didn't feel sorry for me. He actually listened, even when I couldn't speak. That's more than I can say for some people. Miles held my hand. Anne just mumbled something and walked away. Finally defeated. This time, I didn't feel angry. I felt free. My silence had actually made me stronger. Miles looked at me, his eyes full of admiration. You really are amazing, Jing. I just smiled, leaning my head on his shoulder. My silent Valentine's Day might have started as a disaster, but it ended up being the best thing that ever happened to me. The end.
I think you found the perfect boyfriend, but your phone knows better. I'm Kim, and 3 weeks ago, I started dating Josh. He was the captain of the team, straight A's, and he always bought me flowers. I thought I was the luckiest girl in the world, but things got weird fast. We were at the park for our second date, when Josh took my phone, and started deleting my guy friends off my followers list. I'm just protecting our relationship, he said with a smile. Suddenly, my smartwatch buzzed. It was an anonymous alert. Red flag, controlling your social media is not love. I tried to ignore it, but the alerts followed me everywhere. When Josh told me I shouldn't wear my favorite skirt, because it was too much, my phone buzzed in my pocket. Red flag, he's attacking your self-esteem. I started to get paranoid. Who was watching us? Was I being hacked? I went to my best friend Troy. He's a total tech geek, always on his laptop. I showed him the messages, crying, telling him someone was stalking me. Troy looked me dead in the eyes, his face totally serious. He didn't say a word. He just typed something into his computer, and my phone buzzed again with a new message. The screen said, red flag. You're crying over a guy who's supposed to make you happy. Wake up, Kim. I looked at Troy and my heart stopped. It was him. Troy was the one sending the flags. I felt betrayed, angry, and honestly, a little scared. I snatched my phone back and yelled, Troy, how could you? You've been spying on my private life this whole time? Troy didn't even flinch. He just turned his laptop screen around. It wasn't just my phone data, it was a file on Josh. I'm not spying on you, Kim, he said quietly. I'm tracking him. Do you know why Josh moved to this school mid-semester? Because he was expelled from his last one, for doing the exact same thing to his ex-girlfriend. My jaw dropped. Troy showed me a series of messages Josh had sent to a girl named Sarah at his old school. They were identical to the ones he was sending me. The same guilt trips, the same control. I sent those flags to wake you up, before he did to you what he did to her. Troy explained. He's a predator, Kim. He finds girls who are kind and tries to break them. Just then my phone buzzed. It was a text from Josh. Why aren't you answering? I'm outside your house. Come out now. I looked at Troy, then at the door. I realized the red flags weren't a prank. They were a lifeline. Josh was standing outside my house, blowing up my phone because I wouldn't come out. I could see his shadow through the curtains. And for the first time, I wasn't just annoyed. I was terrified. But Troy grabbed my hand. Don't let him get in your head, Kim. We have the proof. We didn't open the door. Instead, Troy hit send on an email to the school board, the police, and every student in our grade. Seconds later, I heard Josh's phone start pinging like crazy. He looked at his screen, his face turning from angry to pure panic. He realized his secret was out. The whole school knew why he was really expelled. Josh started banging on the door, screaming that I was ruining his life. But then, the flashing blue and red lights appeared. Troy had called them the moment we found the files. Watching Josh get escorted away by the police was the most relief I've ever felt. The golden boy was finally finished. The next day at school, the atmosphere was different. Girls I didn't even know came up to thank me, and Troy for exposing him. I realized then that Troy wasn't stalking me. He was the only one who cared enough to protect me, when I was too blinded by a perfect lie to see the truth. I looked at my phone, and saw one last notification from Troy. No red flag this time, just a green heart. Green flag, you're safe now. Want to go get some actual ice cream? I smiled. For the first time, I was choosing a real friend over a fake dream. It's been a week since Josh was taken away, and the school finally feels quiet again. No more looking over my shoulder, no more second-guessing every text. But I still hadn't talked to Troy about everything. I found him in the library, right where he always is, buried in his laptop. I sat down next to him, and stayed silent for a minute. Troy, I whispered, you saved me. If you hadn't sent those flags, if you hadn't been brave enough to hack into his past, I don't know where I'd be right now. Troy finally looked up, and for the first time, I saw how tired he actually was from staying up all those nights protecting me. I didn't do it to be a hero, Kim, he said, closing his laptop. I did it because I've known you since we were 5. I know what your real smile looks like. And Josh was making it disappear. I couldn't just sit back and watch that happen. My heart did a weird flutter, and this time, it wasn't a warning. We walked out of the school together, and my phone buzzed. I flinched for a second, a habit I still hadn't broken. But when I looked at the screen, it was a message Troy had just sent from his pocket. It was a picture of us from kindergarten, with a caption that said, Ultimate green flag. Loyalty matters more than looks. I realized then that the perfect guy isn't the one who buys you flowers. It's the one who stays in the trenches to keep you safe. I grabbed his hand, and we walked toward the ice cream shop. No more flags, just us.